Welcome to the Friday Habit with Benjamin Manley and Mark Labriola II.
The Friday Habit is for creators, entrepreneurs, and agency owners looking for actionable ideas on how to grow their business and be more profitable.
We'll pull from our combined knowledge of over 20 years and interview thought leaders that will inspire you and give you the motivation you need to kick your business into high gear. Buckle up. It's Friday. And welcome to the Friday Habit.
Hello, Mark.
How are you doing, Ben?
Man, I'm good. I'm just happy to be here and talking to you.
I know. Well, you know what? There's I got a question for you, an open-ended question.
Oh, okay. I'm ready.
All right. What do you do with the people you enjoy spending time with the most? Now, you could answer this, like you could give like a couple answers, because you might have like, oh, you're thinking in your mind, like maybe your wife, because obviously if she's listening, Hannah, and you don't mention her, like that would be an insult. But then you may have some other friends that, you know, you do something specific with. Like I'll give an example, for instance, like one of my best friends lives in my neighborhood. I can like walk to his house. We've been friends for, you know, almost a decade. And, you know, our kids have grown up together and, you know, we've done a lot of stuff together, go on family vacations, that kind of stuff. One of the things he does like all the time is he smokes cigars. Now, I'm not a big cigar smoker.
Yeah.
But I do have a tobacco pipe and I actually have been collecting tobacco pipes ever since I was like 34 or something like that. I started buying a new pipe every year for my birthday. And then I started getting pipes for my birthday. For my 40th birthday, actually, like 3 people bought me pipes. Like, so it was like, you know, a big year for pipes for me.
Nice.
But anyway, so what's nice to do with that friend is to, you know, go hang out on his back porch. You know, he'll pour some whiskey or something like that, and I'll smoke my pipe, he'll smoke a cigar, and we'll just kind of chat and catch up, and you know, it's a good time. Yeah.
What are friends?
What is the construct of friend? I mean, because for you and I, right, it's virtually 99% of the year.
Right.
And I like it when we just talk about kind of like stuff we're talking about today on the show.
Right.
You know, we're talking about the different business apps that we're using. And
I like to talk about nerdy tech stuff with my friends. Honestly, that's one of the things I was going to say. I was like, honestly, like hanging out and recording a podcast. I think some of the best friends that I have over the years are people that I work on projects with, and do like either challenges or productive things with. You know, I'm really good friends with a lot of people that I worked with at other jobs still. I think it really bonds you, like when you work with somebody, you know, if you find out that you align. Even my wife, we used to like, you know, be on a team together, you know, as you know, a traveling dance team. And
right,
so
you work together.
Yeah, exactly. We work together doing that. And then, I mean, just working on projects together, but just, I'm thinking of examples, like you said, you know, with friends now. I think the things that I enjoy the most are like, I love playing spike ball. That's a really fun thing to do with friends. I love going out to the park, playing some spike ball. That's a good way to get together and hang out. I really like hiking, doing like backpacking trips. To me, that's really helpful to just like get away. So I have friends that I do that with. And then
have you ever like peaked a 14er or done anything like that?
I don't know what that means. It sounds sketchy.
You know, like where you go on a hike and it's so high up, it's 14,000 feet.
No, I haven't.
Dude, next time you're in Colorado, we're going to peak a 14er. There's ones that we can do that are like not as difficult as others. But
yeah, that sounds great. I mean, I love that. My one of my really good friends just hiked the whole Appalachian Trail.
Oh my goodness!
With his son, who was 4 years old when they started. He finished. He was 5. So it's supposed to be a world record. Like honestly, he just finished. His name's Josh Sutton. If you Google like Josh Sutton, probably Appalachian Trail. They have a YouTube.
Did he carry
channel.
His kid like in a backpack or something?
Didn't carry
like
him
that?
at all. The kid walked the entire way. My other friend Joel, who we've had him on the podcast.
Yeah. You were making films with him. That's something you did, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and so we're still friends. And so my friend Josh, who loves to hike, and I've been on hiking trips with him, you know, several times, and we were in Boy Scouts together and all that. Well, Joel, who's also in Boy Scouts, he made that sci-fi movie, and he's also making this film about Josh and that whole experience. So
cool.
He's basically making a documentary about it. But all that to say, you know, I love hiking with my friends. I love doing kayaking with my friends. A lot of it's outdoor activities or like nerdy work stuff. That's really what it comes down to, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I hear that. Yeah, I have another friend that I go to movies with. You know, it's like I'll know that I can just text them and it's like, yeah, we'll go to a movie together.
Yep.
And then, with my wife, it's like traveling, it's,
Yep.
She's like the one person in my mind where I'm having an experience and I'm like, oh, I really wish Rebecca was here to like see this or, like, oh, experience like, oh, this is so cool, like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think for Hannah and I, it's definitely like doing actually similar things. We love hiking and kayaking and stuff like that. And then, going to beautiful places on vacation. That never hurts. That's always a fun thing to do together.
That's right. Like Hawaii or something.
Yeah. And we actually, just because I think, I don't know, we're kind of a little bit more like, I don't know. Like, I think we're more boring now that we have kids and stuff. Now it's like we're so tired after working. It's like we actually just like literally like hang out on the couch and like watching TV together or something. Just being able to just like chill and not have to do anything. So.
Oh yeah, like on Friday nights when I get home from work.
Yeah.
From the office, it's like usually we'll make some dirty martinis and then sit on the front porch, and just like hang out and talk while we're. Listening to 90s post grunge.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just nice to like have somebody that you can not, you don't have to entertain each other, but you can just kind of be there and enjoy just hanging out. So it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, listen, if you like the Friday Habit and you enjoy this podcast, make sure to rate the show and leave us a review. And no one's taken us up on this offer yet. But if you leave a voice memo and email it to hello@thefridayhabit.com, we'll play it on the air. We will play your whatever you send, whatever recording is sent. At this point, I'm like, hey, somebody, please, if you're listening, like just record something and, we'll play it.
I wonder, are we asking too much? Maybe we should ask a specific question, that they have to answer.
It's like chocolate or vanilla, and just send us the word vanilla, or chocolate.
We just play that next episode with no context.
It's just like chocolate.
It's like, all right, thanks, Bill. Thanks for your input. All right, moving on.
Exactly.
There's a review I could read here. This is from Clarice Gomez. Awesome podcast! 3 exclamation points. Mark and Benjamin host the Friday Habit podcast, highlight all aspects of entrepreneurship and more on this can't miss podcast. The host and expert guests offer insightful advice and information that's helpful to anyone that listens. Man, thanks, Clarice. Appreciate that.
Yeah, seriously. That's awesome. Yeah, well, again, it's like I love hanging out with you. Once a week, we get to hang out and record this podcast. And then, for the 2 people who listen religiously to the show, we thank you
both. Yeah.
Leave a voice memo and email us at hello.
How about this? How about, I think this would be actually kind of fun. If you shoot us a voice memo that is, what is the top challenge that you have in your business right now? What's the number one thing that you're stuck on? And I'd love to know that, because maybe we can throw out some ideas or maybe like, yeah, that's a good point. I'm stuck too. And maybe we reach out to some other people and try to get past it. But I would just love to know what people are thinking about right now. Like what are they stuck on?
All right. Remember,
do it.
Record that, email it to hello@thefridayhabit.com.
Yep. Just record a voice memo, email it over to us.
Easy peasy, chicken cheesy.
It'll be fun. We'll play it and make fun of you on the air. We will answer your question on the air.
Exactly. All right. Well, today we got a pretty lighthearted episode. Ben and I just wanted to kind of talk about some of the business apps that we use that are beneficial.
I love this so much. I love talking about apps. I feel like it's one of my favorite things to talk about. I get super nerdy about it, and I wake up in the middle of the night with new ideas how to use the apps that I found. So.
Well, and you're the one who turned me on. I know we talked about this in another episode, Solver.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
And it's like part of my daily life now, because it's like anytime I'm trying to calculate the cost of maybe a project or, all these things, I can just quickly go in there and then I can type out. So I have great explanation of what that is and then the cost, and I could do totals, and then I can be like, all right, what's this minus this? And then it gives me, and it's just drag and drop. And it's like, that app is such a great app that I use on the daily in the business, and again, just like it's almost like a scribbling pad, where it's like if I was just writing notes down on a little sticky note, but it's like in an app, and then I can like save those little
Right.
squigglies and then go back to them to be
Yep.
like, oh, let me, recalculate, X, Y, and Z.
Yep. Solver.app. SOULVER. Solver.app. Yeah. And it's basically, like you said, like note paper mixed. I think they said that's on the website. Note paper mixed with a calculator. It's like, yeah, it's great for doing calculations or running different formulas and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and super nerdy.
Yeah.
So, but we're going to talk about a whole new suite of apps.
Yeah, and it's not like Zoom or HubSpot or like, have you heard of WordPress? Or hopefully, I mean, some of you are going to be like, I've probably heard of some of these, but I can almost guarantee there's going to be a couple apps that you've never heard of in this list.
All right. Well, why don't you kick us off with let's go from like top 3, number 3.
My
Go.
number 3. All right, counting down to number 1. All right, let's
Yep.
do it. All right, my number 3 is an app called Noted. It's notedapp.io. Sorry, I think it's pretty much only Apple products, but it's beautiful. It's a really well-designed note-taking app, and I wish I had this in college. It's super cool. Basically, you can use your phone, pull it out, and you hit record in this note-taking app, and it starts recording the audio. As you take notes, it's kind of time-stamping your notes as the audio is recording. So after you finish the meeting, if you're like, oh yeah, let me check my notes from that meeting, it works like a regular notepad. But if you wanted to hear the thing that was being said when you took that note, you just tap on those words and then it plays the audio in context for what was happening when you took that note. So if you're like, oh yeah, I made a note about that, but I don't remember exactly what the details were, you just tap on it and it plays back the audio from that. So it's really cool for taking.
That is cool.
I mean, can you imagine like a lecture, in college you're like taking notes and then later you can just tap back to it to hear that piece. I'm like, oh, that would be so helpful.
Yeah, that's, and I'm sure you could do that with all sorts of things. I wonder if you could use it if you're listening to an audiobook and you're like recording the audio from the audiobook and taking notes about, the things that like, you're learning or whatever.
You actually probably could do that.
Like go back.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. It also has on the iPad version, it works with Apple Pencil, so you can do draw notes. So the drawings that you're drawing actually also correspond with the audio you're listening to. So if you're drawing, doodling, anything like that, and you can play back the drawing along with the audio and stuff like that. So it's really interesting. And they have like an Apple Watch version that lets you record audio that also goes into the app. And then I think I think pretty much all that's free, which is pretty crazy. But then if you want to get like the paid version, they have actual like dictation where it'll take the words being said and turn it into actual text for you, stuff like that. So yeah, it's a pretty it's a really beautiful app, and it also has even like silence detection where it skips over silences and pauses, when it plays it back, and you've got all the classic stuff like playing it back at different speeds and all kinds of stuff. So definitely recommend notedapp.io.
Okay. Notedapp.io. Love it. All right. Well, my number 3. Have you heard of this one? It's called Convert Calculator.
I think I've heard the name, but I have no idea what it is. I don't remember what this is.
Okay, so this is really cool, and I'm actually building a calculator that I'm going to embed on my website.
Oh,
and
yeah. Yep.
What it will allow me to do, for instance, like I'll have like specifically for right now, we do a lot of corporate headshots. Mm-hmm. And so what I want to do is have a calculator on the site so someone can get there, because it's one of those things where the price is kind of the price. Yep. It's something that I can kind of like really predict like what the cost of it is going to be. And so one way that I can provide maybe an instant quote or value to a customer, as well as generate some leads potentially for someone maybe who's just like looking, is I can create this calculator. And what I'm going to use it for, because I think you can do like all sorts of stuff, because you can create formulas and variables and like all these other kind of things. So I can say, all right, a minimum of 3 headshots, this is what it costs per headshot, right?
Yep.
And then as you move a slider up, like, I got like 15 people in my company, it'll reduce like $4 per, person kind of thing. So then someone can get an idea of how much it would cost to do their entire team for headshots. And then I have other variables like, are you going to come into our studio or are we going to come to your space? And they can click that button and then it will add a, cost. And then do you want makeup or somebody on set? And then it can add that cost into it. And so then someone can kind of go through and answer all these little questions in this, really nicely designed calculator. And then it will kind of give them like what the cost will be. And then I can also gather information from them like, oh, how serious are you? Is this something you're looking to do right now? Or you're just browsing or like looking? And then, they send their email address and then they get that little quote. So
that's awesome.
So I feel like this is going to be something I'm going to use for a lot of different things, and then also just recommend. Like I have some clients who they sell these mats that you put a mat, you put at least 4 mats down in front of a construction entrance, and it helps clean your tires off, right? Yep. Well, if there's a really large construction entrance where you need more mats, you can kind of calculate how many mats you would need per square feet of space. I could see just a lot of different ways that you could embed this on a website to calculate certain things to kind of provide a value to somebody who's coming to your website.
That's awesome. I feel like this would be really great too if you're trying to make a simple sales process. If you're training a salesperson, you could even use this calculator internally, kind of like be like, oh yeah, while you're talking to somebody on the phone, you could just like ask them questions, do it yourself, and you know what I mean. It would like kind of automate your sales process a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great idea as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think it does sound familiar.
Because you can obviously it gives you like an iframe that you can embed into a Squarespace site, right? For instance.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And there's a couple, the reason it sounds familiar, because I think I sent this to a client one time as a possible solution because they were asking about this. And there's a couple other ones, kind of similar ones called Calconic. There's another one called Calculoid. But they all Calculoid looks a little like they need a little design refresh there. But the other ones look good, the Convert Calculator and the other one. But
there is a cost with this. I think it's $18 monthly or $15 annually, like to kind of start off. But again, I think that for me, right, like to pay $15 a month to maybe, especially as we start running ads and pushing traffic towards a site specific to like headshots, corporate headshots, that this will just save a lot of time and it might weed out people who necessarily I don't want to like spend a lot of time like trying to put together a whole quote and they're like, oh, I'm not really that interested,
right.
Yep. And so I think it's going to be beneficial for that aspect of it.
That's great.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, number 2.
All right. Number 2. My number 2 is called Notion. It's Notion.so. Notion.so. Notion, I feel like it's kind of hard to explain, but I'm trying to think how to explain it without making it sound boring, because it's amazing. And this is literally, I woke up 4:00 in the morning thinking about how I could use this. And I've seen it, I played around with it before, but they keep adding more and more features. And it's basically like a way you can create, they sell it as like an all-in-one workspace. That's what it says on their homepage. And basically what it is a way to create, I'll just give you examples of what you can make. You can make like a wiki, like a team wiki, like maybe a knowledge base with it. You could make a project management dashboard with it. You could make, like a project calendar with it. They have like tons of different examples on their site of different ways you can use it. But the way I think about it is kind of like a mix between like something like Google Docs and like Asana. Or there's another app I've used before called Knack, which is like a database builder. So it's really powerful in that you can basically start out, like, for example, let's say I want to manage projects. I can start out by creating a spreadsheet in this where it's like, okay, I've got the name of my project, the client involved, their phone number, their email address, the status of the project, and maybe some other data that's like structured data along with this project, right? So I created this little spreadsheet, and it's basically like creating all the different properties that are associated with this in the database and the types of things I want to track. So the cool thing about it is like you could definitely use like a HubSpot or another CRM, but you could in theory build your own CRM with this if you wanted to, and you can define exactly the data you want to track for each thing. So it's very customizable. So you can kind of form it around your own processes.
Yeah.
Then once you create that table, you can change it to like a Kanban board view, and now all of a sudden in their cards, but you can choose to use the status as the columns, or something like that. You can choose to assign things to people. You can make comments on them. But the cool thing it's hard to explain unless you use it, but each one of these database items, like in the database, has its own page associated with it. So it's not just only structured data. It also has unstructured data associated with that item too. So you can basically have like a Google Doc that's associated. It's very flexible. You can lay out however you want that's associated with that one item. So you can take your notes in it or whatever. Then you can put other databases inside of that doc. So it's like database inception. And then you can sync these different databases between different pages so you can create your dashboards. So you can kind of like build your own app that can track any data you want in your business. So you can create it to keep track of all your meeting notes. You could have it be like your marketing plan. So you can use it for Kanban view, like timeline view, calendar view, all this stuff. And you can really just customize it with any data you want. So the possibilities are endless. Like for me, the things I'm thinking about doing are tracking projects with it, tracking like leads with it. I like it because it just gives me a little more flexibility than Asana, and it's way cleaner than HubSpot for certain things, and it's more structured than Google Docs. So it's like this weird balance between them. It's like a hybrid kind of thing, and it's really easy to edit compared to most things where you'd be building your own database. It's all like you just put blocks on a page and drag it around, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's really well made. So I think they have a free version to start with, like a personal version, and then if you want to upgrade for your whole team or things like that, you can upgrade. But it's super reasonable pricing wise, and it's just so powerful.
Yeah, it looks really interesting too. Like some of the examples on the website, they have like a Teams, page, and then it's just like, mission and vision and values, and like requesting time off, like a bunch of knowledge-based stuff that if you maybe onboarded someone, this would be their place where it's like, oh, where do I have to go to do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, what tools do we use? Yeah,
like, exactly.
Request your PTO here, so you can use it for. It's just crazy how many things you can use it for. And one of the things I just set up today was I set up a Calendly form on our website where a new lead could fill out a Calendly form, and then using Zapier that connects with Notion and creates a new lead in Notion on a Kanban board. So it shows like, oh, here's a new lead that we haven't met with yet. And then it's assigned to a specific person. And then instead of somebody having to go in and paste in like the note template in there, it automatically creates the notes already ready to go just to type in. So it basically eliminates a couple steps that were manual before. And literally somebody just fills out Calendly, creates the notes for me. It's in the Kanban board. As soon as the meeting's over, just drag it to meeting held. And now they're in the next stage of the sales funnel. So anyway, it's also just great, like automatable. So I've just been kind of getting nerdy with it and messing around with all the different possibilities.
Get nerdy with it.
Yep. So that's it. What's your number two?
My number two is an app that I've been using for a very long time, and it's more geared towards photographers. And it's more of like a repository for your images, and it's called Pixieset. And by the way, like none of these apps or things that we're talking about today were sponsored by. This is just
speak for yourself.
I mean, Ben is raking in the cash on sponsorships right now. He gets all these things for free. But these are just things I love and I've used for like a very long time, except for Convert Calculator. I just started using that and found that to be helpful. But Pixieset I've been using for probably a decade. And it is a great place and I use it for personal and I use it for business. So on the business side of things, like I was mentioning before, we'll do a lot of headshots, or we'll do a lot of, different types of shoots, whether it's like food photography or, some other type of shoot where there's lots of images. And so what this app allows us to do is essentially upload all of our files to it and then share like a really simple, beautiful looking gallery for clients, and they can download the entire gallery of images, or they can just download one-offs. And then if you are like, say, a portrait photographer or wedding photographer, and you could actually charge for prints on there, and people can order prints right from the app where they can, say, oh, I like this photo, I want a canvas of it. And then you can get a kickback of that. But, the biggest way that I use it now is each client has their own gallery, essentially. One of our clients is a sign company, and, they have a lot of different places that their signs are in, all over the United States, all over the world. And so what we do is we kind of create a folder in there and upload all the images into that folder. And then we're able to easily, share those images back to the client. They can download the ones that they want. Or it's a way for us, if we're, managing someone's social media and also managing the content that we're creating to post on social. It's a quick way for us to go through a ton of images and, easily download one and then, add it to, to schedule to post or something like that. So I just love the way that it's laid out, like how it lays the images really like forward facing. And then it makes it real simple to download all the images at once or just one photo at a time.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine this being like such a great way to share photos because it looks way more beautiful. And like, hey, here's a Dropbox link to download your stuff. And then also having that built-in functionality, it's almost like a store with fulfillment built in where it's like, hey, buy one of these and order a photo right here. You don't have to like set up a shop or something crazy to like let people order stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's nice because it kind of builds a little landing page for each little site. So, it's nice because they're pretty responsive too. So for personally, right, what I'll do is I kind of take a whole year and take photos of my family and kids, like professionally, just candid stuff, on vacations, things like that. And then I edit them every year and then I put them into a book that I give to my wife for Christmas.
Oh, that's cool.
But then what I also do is I take all those images and I upload them to a gallery like this. And then I can easily share it to, grandparents and things like that. And they have all the images and they can kind of download those photos as well. And like you said, it's just a more beautiful way to allow people to preview your images and download them than just like a Dropbox link.
Yeah, this is beautiful. So minimal and really, really classy.
Yeah. And so, like I said, I've been using it for over a decade and it's great. And then, on the company side of things, what's nice is you can kind of choose some branding. And so like right when someone lands, right, there's like a epic picture and then it has, Brand Viva like logo, right there. And then they can start scrolling through their images and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, it looks like they have a free plan you can start out with too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Pixieset, PIXIESET.com.
Cool. Yeah, and we have all these links in the show notes here too. So awesome.
Okay, that brings us to your number one.
Number one. My number one is an app called Miro, Miro, Miro.com. I think I showed you something in this recently that I built, but basically Miro is like an online collaborative whiteboard, I would say, and you can build so many things with it. I feel like this is a theme between the Notion one and Miro is that it's like a playground of like, it just lets you create anything you want, which is cool. But this is a much more of basically it's a whiteboard and you can collaborate with people anywhere. And as you're collaborating, it's really cool. You should go to the website and look at it on their homepage. They have some examples, but you can basically see other people's like mouse like cursors like live on the whiteboard while you're working on it too. So you could be at home or somewhere else and somebody else could be grabbing something, dragging it, editing it. And it has things like video chat built in, audio chat, text chat. You can comment on anything in this board, and it's an infinite canvas, so there's no limits to the sides. You can make it as big or small as you want, add as much as stuff as you want. You can you can do things like creating a Kanban board in here if you wanted to. You could, one just kind of cool little feature is that if you make sticky notes on an actual real whiteboard and you take a photo of it in the Miro mobile app, it'll actually convert it to text and turn it into sticky notes on here instantly. And it even has like a Zoom app integration where if you're using Zoom, you can have Miro installed in Zoom, and then you can just say, start using the Miro app, and then other people in the Zoom call can use the board without installing Miro. They can just in Zoom like start clicking around and stuff like that and see what you're doing.
It's kind of like almost when you're collaborating on a Google Doc, how you can kind of see other people. But then I could see this being very useful for, again, like remote collaborating.
Yeah.
Because one thing that we do, right, when we are like kind of brainstorming a new podcast is, going through like what the main topic is and then like what are subtopics. And a lot of times we'll use sticky notes as like, okay, here's the main thing. And then what are all the things around it that relate to that,
Yep.
And so I could see you could do this with this
Right.
very easily.
Yeah.
So
It's so flexible because you can do things. You can create workflows in it. You can create like mind maps easily. You can create wireframes in it. It's just like it's almost unlimited what you can make with it because it's just a canvas and you can put different elements on it. So yeah, I love it. You saw what I made in it. I basically mapped out our entire process start to finish with like a workflow diagram showing from when a customer comes in all the way to like their project being finished. And then since it's an infinite canvas, I made that like at a regular size. And then I actually made really tiny, if you zoom in, because it's infinitely zoomed in or out. If you zoom in, I have every like email that has to do with the process in each area associated with that right in the document. So it actually had every email template and everything inside of Miro right next to the actual diagram of the workflow. So I could literally like go in there and like my entire business is in one document, you know, where it's like, okay, here's all the email templates that get sent. Here's the, you know, the actual like text reminder that gets sent. This is the thing that comes from Calendly. And then if I want to go change it, I can go change it in there and then tag somebody like, hey, can you update this in Calendly? I changed the text on this part of the workflow. So you can kind of see the whole customer experience in one place. Anyway, that's one idea. That's just the way I'm using it right now, but you can build almost anything in it. So I would check it out. They also have a free plan. I think you can create up to like 3 boards for free. So definitely recommend checking it out. They also have iOS apps for iPad and for iPhone. So it's pretty powerful stuff.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's fun.
Cool.
What about you? Number one, what you got?
All right, number one, and this one I have used again for extremely long time, and it worked really well for me as a freelancer. And then when I first started using it, it was kind of a new app, like I said, almost maybe a decade ago. It was kind of newer, and then they kept just building in functionality to it as I continued to use it, and as my business grew from, being a freelancer to a small business owner. And it is called Bonsai, and their website's hellobonsai.com. And the thing I love about it, and what I first started using it for all those years ago, was contracts, because contracts, between a client and a lot of times, it'll just be an invoice that you send or like a proposal, an agreement, and that's fine. But when I started working with more complex clients or clients that had more, red tape around working with them as far as like needing insurances and like all these other kind of things, I just needed a way to kind of protect myself in the legal arena, and I couldn't, hire a lawyer, and I really wasn't looking for like Rocket Lawyer or something like that. I wanted something kind of specific to the creative industry.
Right.
And so Bonsai, they kind of, targeted towards a creative industry. And so these contracts, you can kind of go in and you can say, all right, I'm a videographer in the state of Colorado. And then it, pumps out a big contract for you with all the different things, that you need to cover yourself with and whatnot. Nice. And so what's nice is over the years, they've really built it out. So now, you can start off with a proposal, and then you email it to a client, and a client can accept it digitally. And then once that happens, it creates a contract. And then when they sign the contract, it'll create invoices automatically and then put it into a project. And then you can keep track of expenses and time tracking. And then now they've moved kind of into the Asana realm with like tasks and accounting. And so it's kind of a really fantastic, especially for a small business or an entrepreneur or a freelancer, to kind of have one app that does proposals, contracts, invoicing, time tracking, all that kind of stuff, all in one thing. And then they even have tax services too now, where it'll kind of keep track of all your tax information. You can partner with their approved tax people to help you with your taxes at the end of the year. So I've used that forever. And then the other cool thing is, since I've been using it for so long, right, I can go in and look at different clients and, what the value of that client was over the years, and, do a lot of that data absorption, which we love to do. So
this is cool. Yeah. I love that it's both the app, but also it seems like it's not just like, oh, here, have fun, create your invoice, but it's like, it's really helping you with the legal side of getting everything figured out. And I'm looking at their website, and they've got templates for everything. This is really cool.
Yeah, if you're like a photographer, a videographer, or a developer, or a designer, like, a lot of those creative things they have templates for, and then all sorts of other things, a writer or, whatever else. So
that's awesome. Looks good.
Yeah.
Cool. That's it. That's
it.
That's top threes.
That is our top threes. Well, as always, Ben, I love hanging out with you and chatting, and I hope people love listening to us hang out and chat. So
yeah. Hey, you know what? If they do, bonus. Otherwise, we're just doing this for fun. So
that's right. Exactly. Bonus.
Yeah.
All right. Where can people find us?
Well, they can go to thefridayhabit.com to find show notes for this episode, and you'll have links to those apps that we were looking at. You can also find links to our websites and ways to get in touch. And at the bottom of the page, you can download our guide to the Friday Habit System. And that'll show you how to set aside one full day each week dedicated to working on your business instead of in your business.
That's right. And as we said, please rate, review the show, and leave us that voice memo. And until next time, live every day like it's Friday.